All right, ready to dive in. Today, it's all about Xero shoes, specifically the Forza trainers. Got a mountain of articles, reviews, even some raw customer comments to dig through.
People get passionate about shoes, don't they?
Tell me about it.
Yes.
And these ones especially, it's not just style, but the whole philosophy.
Mm.
Foot health, natural movement, how that impacts your workout, all of that.
It's fascinating. Really gets into the nitty-gritty of how we treat our feet.
Exactly. And first thing that struck me, tons of people saying these are surprisingly stylish. For
Yeah.
gym shoes anyway. Sleek design, that booty-style construction.
Yeah, not your average clunky trainers, that's for sure.
Not at all. So what's the deal with that sock-like fit everyone keeps mentioning? Is it just a looks thing?
It's more than just looks. That's a hallmark of this whole barefoot shoe trend. Think wide toe boxes, letting your feet move naturally, and that zero drop
So
sole.
drop.
Hello.
So basically flat.
Exactly. Heel and toes are level, mimicking being barefoot as closely as possible. Of course, you still get some protection. You're not on the gym floor barefoot.
Makes sense. Now, performance-wise, these seem huge EE with weightlifters. Stability, ground feel.
Yeah, weightlifters, they crave that strong connection to the ground. It's all about feeling those muscles work.
I can see that. One review even called them deadlift shoes. So definitely designed for that grounded feel. But what about other activities like, say, running?
That's where it gets interesting. They're great for short bursts,
Mhm.
sprints, warming up. But long distances, not so much.
Is that the minimalist design, less cushioning and all?
Exactly. You're trading off some cushioning for that ground feel. Amazing for lifting, not so ideal for pounding the pavement.
Gotcha. So for our listeners who are marathon runners, maybe not the best choice.
Probably not for logging serious miles, but hey, there's a whole world of minimalist shoes out there. Something for every activity, right?
Totally. Now, onto a slightly controversial topic, that midfoot strap.
Yes. The strap.
Some people love it, others call it useless. What's the deal?
It's all about foot shape and what you're doing. Wider feet, doing lateral movements, it seems to work great, add stability. Narrower feet, not so much.
Almost like two different shoes, depending on your feet.
Kinda, yeah. And the design. Well, there's room for improvement, let's just say that. We saw a lot of too long. Velcro not holding.
Not ideal. Okay, so style-wise, we're getting a thumbs up. Performance is activity dependent. But what about the price tag? These aren't exactly budget shoes, are they?
They're on par with other high-quality minimalist shoes. Not the cheapest, but not outrageous either, especially if they last, right?
Right. Speaking of which, we've got to address the durability concerns. We saw mentions of sole separation, flimsy shoelaces.
Yeah, durability is a mixed bag with these. Some people, no problems at all. Others, well, they weren't so lucky.
So potentially a shorter lifespan than some bulkier gym shoes?
Maybe, maybe not. Depends how you treat them and how your foot moves in them, honestly. Zero Shoes does offer a 5,000-mile sole warranty, though.
Okay, so at least there's that. But honestly, nothing beats those raw, unfiltered customer reviews. We've got everything from like walking on clouds.
Two felt like sandpaper. Yeah, we saw those too. The spectrum of experience is wild.
It is. And it just goes to show, got to take everything with a grain of salt. What works for one person?
Might be a disaster for another. Exactly. Which is why we do these deep dives. Arm you with the good, the bad, and the ugly, so to speak, so you can make the best decision.
I love it. So we've established these aren't your grandpa's clunky trainers. Let's dig a bit deeper into that whole stylish factor. What makes these shoes so aesthetically appealing?
Well, one thing that stood out, Zero Shoes seems to be going for a wider audience with these. It's not just the hardcore minimalist crowd anymore. They've got that minimalist vibe, but it's not in your face.
Okay, I can see that. Minimalist, but not screaming, look at my toes.
Exactly. More like, hey, I'm stylish and easy functional.
I like it.
Yeah.
What about color options? Anything beyond basic black and white?
Oh, they've got some fun ones. We saw blue, sapphire, even a micro gray and red combo.
Ooh, that micro gray and red sounds pretty cool. So they've definitely got the looks down. But looks only get you so far, right? How do these shoes actually perform when you put them to the test? We've touched on weightlifting, but what about other activities like cross-training or even just running errands? So we've established these shoes can handle themselves in the style department, but let's be real, we're not wearing these to a fashion show. When it comes to performance, can the Forza trainers truly deliver? We've touched on weightlifting, but what about other activities like cross-training or even running errands?
From the research, it seems like the Forza trainers really shine when it comes to cross training, especially high intensity interval training, like those HIIT workouts everyone's doing.
Right, those are everywhere these days.
They're lightweight and breathable, which is perfect for when things heat up, and the durable rubber outsole provides excellent traction for all those burpees and box jumps.
Okay, so they can handle a little sweat and some fast footwork. But what about running? We've hinted that maybe these aren't marathon ready, but are they good for a quick jog around the block?
That's where things get a little tricky.
Oh, how so?
The sources we looked at suggest they're adequate for short distances, like sprints or warming up before a workout. But when it comes to dedicated running sessions, especially longer distances, you might want to consider other options.
So what's the limiting factor here? Is it the lack of cushioning we talked about earlier?
Exactly. Remember, the Forza trainers prioritize ground feel, which is fantastic for weightlifting and cross training, but can be a bit jarring on the joints when you're logging miles on the pavement.
So for our listeners who are serious runners, it might be worth looking at Xero Shoes' other models, or even exploring brands like Vivo Barefoot, which are known for their running-specific minimalist shoes.
Absolutely. And it's a good reminder that the beauty of minimalist footwear is the variety available. There's a shoe for every activity and every foot shape.
Totally. It's all about finding the perfect match for your needs. Speaking of finding the perfect match, let's circle back to that midfoot strap. We know it's a point of contention, love it or hate it.
Yeah.
Can we unpack the pros and cons a bit further for our listeners who might be on the fence?
Sure, let's dive into the strap saga. On the plus side, several users, particularly those who use the Forza trainers for weightlifting, found that the strap provided an extra layer of stability, especially during exercises involving lateral movements like squats. It helps to lock the foot in place and prevents unwanted sliding.
So for weightlifters, that extra stability can make a huge difference in performance and safety.
Absolutely. However, as we've mentioned, the strap has a darker side. Numerous users, even those who loved the shoe overall, reported that the strap was too long and the Velcro didn't hold securely, especially during dynamic movements. We even saw comments about the strap dragging on the ground, which could be a tripping hazard.
Yeah, that sounds like a recipe for disaster. It seems like the strap issue disproportionately affects people with smaller feet, almost as if the strap length wasn't adjusted for smaller sizes.
That's an astute observation, and it's a common criticism we found in our research. It seems like Xero Shoes is aware of this issue and is potentially working on design updates, but for now, it's definitely something to keep in mind.
So, a potential deal breaker for some, but maybe not a big deal for others, especially those with wider feet who might benefit from that extra support. Now, let's shift gears and talk durability. We touched on some concerns earlier, but I'm curious to hear more about the specifics. What were people saying about the Forza trainer's ability to withstand wear and tear?
Well, the feedback on durability was definitely mixed. Some users reported issues with the sole separating from the upper, which is never a good sign. Others mentioned that the shoelaces felt a bit flimsy and were prone to breaking.
And we even saw a few comments about the upper material tearing, especially around the toe box area.
That's right. And while these reports weren't universal, it's something to be mindful of, especially considering the price point of these shoes. However, it's essential to remember that durability can vary greatly depending on individual usage patterns. Someone who wears their Forza trainers for light workouts and errands a few times a week might have a completely different experience than someone who puts them through grueling CrossFit sessions daily.
That's a great point.
Hmm.
It's all relative to how much wear and tear those shoes are subjected to. Speaking of different experiences, let's dive into those juicy customer reviews. We've heard the extremes like walking on clouds and felt like sandpaper. But what were some of the more nuanced comments that stood out to you?
One recurring theme, even among those who had issues with the strap or durability, was the exceptional comfort of the Forza trainers. Many users described them as feeling like socks, but better, highlighting their lightweight, breathable, and flexible design.
So even with the potential drawbacks, that comfort factor is a major selling point for many people.
Absolutely. People want to feel good in their shoes, whether they're hitting the gym or just running errands. Another interesting comment we saw was about the importance of getting the right fit. Many users emphasize the need to consult the sizing chart on Xero Shoes' website and potentially order a half size up, especially if you're between sizes.
Sizing can be tricky with any shoe, but it seems especially important with minimalist shoes, which tend to have a snugger fit.
Precisely. And the good news is that Xero Shoes offers a generous return policy, so don't be afraid to order a couple of sizes to try on at home and find the perfect fit.
That's always reassuring.
Mm.
Now, I want to shift our focus to some of the design features that make the Forza trainers unique.
Yeah.
We know about the wide toe box and zero-drop sole, but what about those molded sidewalls? What role do they play in the shoe's performance?
Those molded sidewalls are designed to provide extra lateral stability, particularly during weightlifting movements. Think of them as reinforcements that prevent the shoe from collapsing or deforming under heavy loads. They help you maintain a solid base and prevent your feet from rolling outward, which is crucial for maintaining proper form and reducing the risk of injury.
So they add an extra layer of support and stability, particularly for those heavy lifts where you need a rock-solid foundation.
Exactly. Now, let's talk about another intriguing feature, those removable insoles. Why would someone choose to remove them, and what impact does that have on the overall feel of the shoe?
I'm curious about that too. It seems like it would defeat the purpose of having insoles in the first place.
Well, the Forza trainers come with 2 millimeter thick insoles, which are relatively minimal to begin with. Some users, particularly those who embrace a more barefoot style approach, prefer to remove the insoles entirely for increased ground feedback and proprioception.
Proprioception. Can you break down what that means for our listeners who might not be familiar with the term?
Of course. Proprioception refers to your body's ability to sense its position in space. It's that unconscious awareness of where your limbs are and how they're moving. By removing the insoles and getting closer to the ground, you enhance that sensory feedback loop, which can improve balance, coordination, and overall movement efficiency.
So it's like giving your feet a direct line of communication with the ground beneath them.
Exactly. However, it's essential to note that removing the insoles does reduce the cushioning, so it's a matter of personal preference and tolerance for impact. Some people find it liberating and empowering, while others find it too harsh and unforgiving.
It's all about finding that sweet spot between ground feel and comfort. Now, we know the Forza trainers excel at weightlifting and cross training, but we've also seen mentions of people using them for other activities like court sports and even everyday wear. Can we explore those use cases a bit further?
Absolutely. While not specifically designed for court sports, some users reported positive experiences using the Forza trainers for activities like tennis, pickleball, and even basketball. Their lightweight design, good traction, and flexible sole make them surprisingly adaptable for these types of activities as long as you're not overly sensitive to impact.
So they offer a degree of versatility that extends beyond the weight room. And what about everyday wear? Are they comfortable enough to run errands in, or are they strictly for the gym?
Many users actually found the Forza trainers to be surprisingly comfortable for casual wear. The sock-like fit, breathable lining, and sleek design make them suitable for a variety of everyday activities, from running errands to walking around town.
So they're not just gym shoes. They can seamlessly transition into your everyday wardrobe.
Exactly, and that versatility is a major selling point for people who want a shoe that can do it all.
It's amazing how one shoe can get such different reactions, you know? Like we have this one review says, most comfortable shoe ever. Lightweight, durable, the whole package. Sounds like a dream.
Right, and a lot of people echoed that sentiment, but then scroll down a bit and it's the strap. A joke. Too long, Velcro's useless.
Wild, right?
It's like two different shoes, depending on who you ask, and it really highlights how important those little design details can be. We even saw someone say they added extra Velcro themselves.
Dedication right there.
Yeah.
But it goes to show people want footwear that works. If they're breaking out the super glue, something about the shoe is working for them.
I guess so. Here's another one that made me laugh. Perfect training shoe. My balance is better, even getting more power. Do you think they were being literal?
I think so. That zero-drop sole, wide toe box, it all ties in. When your feet are positioned naturally, you're engaging muscles you might not even think about, and that translates to better balance, stability, yeah, even power.
It's like your feet were designed for it all along, but we've been messing with the formula.
Kinda, yeah.
We also saw people using these for some serious workouts, CrossFit, kettlebells, even high rocks. What makes these shoes so well suited for that kind of intensity? It's that combo of being stable, flexible, and giving you ground feel all at once. You need that range of motion for those explosive movements, but also a solid base. That thin, flexible sole lets you really feel the ground, and that's huge for balance when you're switching between exercises quickly.
So, best of both worlds. You get that minimalist feel, but with enough support to handle the impact.
You got it.
Okay, we've covered a lot. Pros, cons, DIY strap fixes. But the bottom line, are the Forza trainers worth the investment?
That's the million-dollar question. And honestly, it depends, which is never the easy answer, but
But the most accurate one, right?
exactly. It boils down to what you need from a shoe. Weightlifting, cross-training, you want that minimalist feel. And you don't need a ton of cushioning, got wider feet. then yeah, they're worth looking into.
But if you're mostly running, need arch support, probably not the best match.
Spot on. And of course, there's the budget to consider. They're not budget busters, but they're an investment. You got to weigh those pros and cons.
It's so true. And at the end of the day, no matter what we say, what the reviews say, the most important thing is
Listen to your feet.
exactly. Try them on, see how they feel during a workout. Most places have free returns now, so you can always send them back if it's not love at first step.
That's the beauty of it. Finding the right shoe is a journey, not a race. Might take a few tries, a bit of trial and error, maybe even some super glue, but hey, when you find the one, you know.
You know it. And that wraps up our deep dive into the Xero Shoes Forza trainers. Hope you learned something new, and most importantly, feel empowered to make the best choices for your own 2 feet.
Because at the end of the day, it's about moving with confidence, comfort, and maybe a little bit of style, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So go out there, conquer those workouts, rock those errands, whatever you're into, and do it all in shoes that make you feel amazing. Until next time.